so excited to be here today to interview Fumi Hancock about her new book that has come out.
Come on in. Hello, hello. Welcome to my home.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much.
So excited to be here today. It's going to be a great interview.
I know that. I know. You're here, so I know it's going to be a great one.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Come on in. Okay. I think we're going to do the interview over there. It's more open and more relaxing. So we're going to have some tea. Thank you so much. It's really nice to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to be here this morning, and you have a beautiful home.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Yes. This looks like a good place to really get some writing done.
Oh, I tell you, it's so quiet out here. I love it. I love the weather. I used to live in California, but moving out here to Tennessee has been a blessing to me. So I'm grateful.
I'm so excited about your book that's just been released. What's the name of your book?
Well, it's called The Adventures of Jewel Cardwell and Hideous Nest.
Wow.
Yes.
I think people are going to be really excited, not just young people, but I think just adults and people in general to really hear about some of the stories from Africa.
Well, it's amazing because when you look at books like the ones that like Harry Potter and even Amanda Hawkins series, you tend to know that young adults are very interested in fantasy, in the fantasy world. So Jewel Cardwell, The Adventures of Jewel Cardwell, is actually putting a new spin, a special spin, a unique spin that they've never seen before. So the characters there and the experiences that they will walk through are certainly something that, even though it's a little bit familiar, might be familiar to those who enjoy reading Harry Potter and all those kind of fantasy books, but they will see something unique in that it's coming right from the heart of Africa.
Wow. So you know I've been to Africa, so I'm really excited to start reading it. I haven't started yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Tell me how did you come up with the name?
Well, to start with, The Adventures of Jewel Cardwell. As you probably know that with the non-profit organization that I'm also involved with, we travel a lot. And a lot of the people that we deal with are children all the way to young adults, that even there are a lot that we sponsor right now. So during my trips and also my experiences in Africa myself when I was growing up, I got to meet a lot of funny characters, including myself. And so coming back home and putting all these characters together gave me the idea that what if this was an adventure? What if I could take my audience through an adventure into the heart of South Africa? And that's how I came up with The Adventures of Jewel Cardwell. But of course, Jewel is always somebody that's precious to me. I wanted Jewel to be like a jewel, like a jewelry that you love, and yet she has some dark side to her. So I gave her that name, Jewel.
Great. You just mentioned that you really wanted to tell the story in a setting in Africa. What made you come up with, doing it in Africa, and what do you think people will get from that they've not heard about Africa before?
Well, here's the thing. We know that a lot of people are very fascinated about just simply Africa. We've seen a lot of people that have always wanted to go to Africa to see not only the zoo or the museums and things like that, or the way of living, but we also know that people are fascinated with the culture. They're fascinated with the colors and things like that. And having read a lot of the fantasy books for young adults here, a lot of the settings are in Europe. If it's not in Europe, it's in America here. I wanted to bring something totally different. I wanted to bring something wild yet subtle, and I felt like Africa was that part of the continent that could do that for me. Yeah. And so I'm using South Africa as my base for the beginning, because this is the beginning of a series, and some of the rest is coming up, but this is the beginning of the series. And so South Africa for me is a blend of English, Scottish, Dutch, American, and all this culture like a melting pot coming together, and also Africa. So for me, there's a lot of things to see in Africa, a lot of places, exotic places that will show up in these books that I wanted people, my readers, both young and old, to just walk with me through Africa and see a lot of beauty out of Africa.
Before I get to some of the other questions that I have, I want to ask you, a lot of times we're seeing, not just in the US, but in different countries, a lot of young people are not reading as much. And I think with this, I was glad to hear that you said you're doing a series and it's going to be a sequel to it, because I think it will also encourage young people to read more. Tell me a little bit about how you think this could impact just the literacy for young people. I've been working with young people for years, and I've seen that if there's a book that they really enjoy, I see they tend to read more.
See, one of the things that I did during my research for this book, was also to invite young adults in. I wanted to see what could make them tick, what would make them pick up a book and read it, what would make them get a book print, what would make them get an ebook. And what was fascinating about this was that I picked a group of young adults from different generations and different ages, from 13 all the way up to 35. I also picked up a group of young adults that were from different races. And I wanted to see, I did a pilot show, and I wanted to see what would make them tick. And gladly, when they read it, they were all excited about it, because what Jewel was going through was familiar to them, but yet the setting was different. Jewel is a 17-year-old going through all the regular dramas of that we know that our young adults go through here, from peer pressure to character assassination, and then to having a dark side to you, that you want to be good, but yet the bad is right there lurking in the dark, and to somebody struggling in school. So those were the things, and of course relationship too, because we cannot ignore that. At 16, 17, our kids are having relationship. And the cool thing about this is that you get to see raw, how they put their hearts on the table and how they walk through those relationships. So when you look through the eyes of the main character, which is Jewel, you see, they see themselves. These people that I put together as a pilot program saw themselves, but what was cool about it was that they saw themselves in a different setting, and they were able to say, well, wow, I guess we all go through the same thing. It didn't matter if we were white, if we were black, if we were green or yellow, we go through the same thing. Yeah. Now, what matters is the people that surround us, and also the environment also add to how we react to situations. So you will see Jewel essentially going through life, a lot of times disappointed, sometimes happy, most times not knowing what to do with the situation. But at the end of it, the big question now is, with Jewel, who has been tagged as the black sheep of the family, would she end up being the savior? That's the question.
That's good.
That's the question.
That's good. Let me see some of the other questions I have. Let me see which ones. You talked about who your readers were. How did you come up with the story?
Well,
because I know you've been writing for years.
Yeah.
I know you're a great writer. I know you've written other books. But how did you come up with this story?
Now, the other books that I've written have always been inspirational books for women. And this is actually my very first young adult fantasy and paranormal story. And thinking about how I came up with it at the expense of not necessarily pointing at some names, a lot of the characters actually came from my experiences back in Africa. And there are some of these characters that came from, I have Jewel. Jewel is made up of 3 or 4 or 5 characters of people that I've met through my life and I've actually lived life through. I'll say a little bit of me can be seen in Jewel, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is just a combination of people that I've met along the way, and that's how I came up with the characters.
How has this journey been? I know when I've talked to other people that have written books, just the journey to and the process of getting the book written and finished. And now that you're at the end, that it's out now, people can order it. How was it processed for you, just the writing of it?
I tell you what, it takes discipline. It takes a whole lot of discipline. I know for myself, this actual book took me more than a year to even finish. And even after finishing it, I sat on it for another 6 or 8 months just to make sure that I was doing the right thing. And so I think it takes discipline. It takes you really waking up in the morning and saying, I'm going to give, even if it's just 1 hour, I will give an undivided 1 hour attention to writing this. And like you said, there were times that I just wanted to just let it go, because there are times the characters will wake me up and I'm writing, and then I'll get to a point, some of my characters will be really either nasty or messy or just plain annoying, and then I'll drop my pen then, take a breather for a few days and come back to them. So consistency is the root of it all. You have to be consistent where writing is concerned, otherwise you will not make it.
Exactly. That really encourages me. I'm working on a book, so
Great.
you're my inspiration, and just you sharing that's going to help me finish what I need to do.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that too, because I know it's going to be great, because it has to do with sons, mothers raising sons.
Yes.
So I'm waiting for that.
I am too, so I'll keep working on it. Okay, I see there is another character, Kaya Darkly. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you are. Kaya Darkly.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that character and how you came up with that character.
Well,
because I think there's going to be some other things about her going down the road.
Yeah, you're right.
So I want the audience to really know, where that character's going.
Kaya Darkly is a diabolical girl. She is one character that you see a piece of her in everybody. You have a person that stands aloof. She's always seen by herself, and of course her situation is not helped by her father being a sorcerer. So, but because her father is a sorcerer, a well-known sorcerer and well-feared sorcerer in that community, she is kind of ostracized. So that because she's also ostracized, her way of dealing with it is to put up a front and let people think that she's okay with people not talking to her. But as the story goes on, we would also see that even in somebody like Kaya, who has been neglected and who has been thought of as someone who would never accomplish anything, that there's still some good in her, and that there are certain things, certain power that she has that other people need. So as we move along in that storyline, we will see Kaya emerge slowly into our own. So that in the next series, which will be the Purgatory, the Sorcerer's Purgatory, Kaya herself will now be one of the lead characters, really going forth in what she believes that she was called to be, which is to inherit the father's sorcery. But then we'll see, is that what she really wanted to do? Or is this just something that she wanted to inherit because of the experiences of the past, and she felt that she needed a kind of power somewhere to help her? We will see that in the next book.
Great, great. As I was looking through the books and through the website, I saw some amazing pictures.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting that those pictures really connected well with the book.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how the pictures came about.
Well, thank heavens my son, Adebola Thompson, took all those pictures. And while I was writing, I would describe to him scenes from the book. I, of course, also did a lot of research about South Africa, and wanted a vivid picture of how some of the scenes would look like. So I was blessed enough with my son being able to actually take my imagination and now take pictures. So my hope is that with people picking up the book, as they read and they look at those images on the website, which is World of Fumi, Hancock.com, they will be able to identify and really see and see what I was trying to discuss in the book. And hopefully too, we're also hoping to, during our virtual tour, which might be coming up sometime, I think it's going to be from October to December, that we will be giving away some of these portrait pictures and posters as something for people to just keep in their homes, so that the book is not just something you read and forget, but every day when you look at some of those posters and you look at those scenery, it will take you back to the heart of Africa.
Great. So it's a family affair.
Yes, it is.
Good.
Yes,
I love seeing that. I love
Yes,
seeing
it is.
families working on projects together, and especially mothers and sons. And
Yeah.
so I'm so excited about, I see amazing things happening with
Thank
him
you. Thank you.
just because of that gifting he has, and other people will see that and be excited about it.
Well,
as
you see, with your book too that's coming up with the mother and sons, and Bola is going to be featured, I will also be featured in there.
Yes.
And it's such a great thing to see how mothers, as you raise your children, how once they get to that level age group that they're in college and things like
Yes.
that, you really can be a part of their life. You still can be a part of their life. Unlike what we are told out there, that once they get to a certain age, you can't do anything with them, you can't touch them, you can't talk to them. But it's interesting to see that this book, The Adventures of Jewel Cardwell, has actually brought us together as a family, because I have two boys that are in college, and they all can identify because they've both read the book. In fact, they were very instrumental in helping me to sort out the language, because the language of the young adults is kind of different.
Yes, it is.
So I'm glad that I had the input at the Bola and at the Mola. I had the input. They were able to tell me that, I mean, there were some slangs that used there and said, "Oh, mother, that's
old.
That's old. We don't say it like that anymore."
Yes.
So having their input has really been great, and I think that's what's going to be featured in your upcoming book too.
Yes, that's correct. And I think it really inspires them to know that they're still needed.
Yes.
There's still a place for them. And I think as young adults read the book, they will not only see themselves, but they'll see, okay, this person Fumi Hancock has written this book. What is something I've been wanting to do that I can do as well?
Exactly.
So I'm excited about that part as well.
I think one of the things too that came out of this too now is that even my son Bola has begun to write too. And of course, his writing is very dark. I mean, dark fantasy. But still, he's writing. So I think him watching me write too is also inspiring him to want to start to write for his audience. And the other thing that I observed with this is that even with the book, it's not just the young adults that have come up to me. I've seen mothers too that have read it and have come up to me and said, "Wow, this is really nice," because it's just a different setting that they are not used to. And like I said earlier, I wanted to bring something. I didn't want to do Harry Potter. I didn't want to imitate Amanda Hawking and all these other people out there. They do great work, but I wanted to bring something that was so unique and yet, close to what we know of where characterization is concerned, but the setting is unique enough that we want people to want to say, "Wow, one of these days perhaps I can travel out to that place and see." I have places like called Bella Bella in that place in Limpopo, South Africa, and Bella Bella is known for, they have a place that has springs of water and is known to heal people. So I show places like that, places that people have not, that will get people thinking that, wow, how can spring water heal people? Is that really possible? Well, in Bella Bella, South Africa, there is some spring waters like that. So I show historic places in the book that would actually help us to also learn, educate ourselves,
Exactly.
You know, without necessarily being in a classroom setting.
Exactly.
That's what I do with the Adventures of
And
Jewel
seeing
Cardwell.
there's more to Africa than, you know, safaris are great.
Exactly.
But there's more to Africa than, and Africa has many countries.
Exactly.
A lot of times we use the word Africa, especially in the U.S., and not thinking about how large a continent that is. And so I'm excited that people will get to know more about Africa, and also more about, I'm getting excited because I just see a movie.
That's awesome.
And so I want as many people to know about Fumi Hancock and the book that's coming out. So tell us where they can get the book.
Well, the book got released in Amazon. You can get it at Amazon.com. You have Smash Words, which is SMASHWORDS. You have the ebooks there. You have Barnes and Nobles. You can go to any of your mortal bookstores and ask them, and they will get you the book.
And give the name of the book again.
It's called The Adventures of Jewel Cardwell, Hideous Nest by Fumi Hancock.
Don't forget that name of that book. And so we're excited. Go to the website. Give the website address, your website address.
Okay, the website address is World of Fumi Hancock. World, we know that, the whole world of Fumi, F-U-M-I, Hancock, HANCOCK.com. World of Fumi Hancock.
So don't forget to visit the website and go to Amazon and your local bookstores and ask for the book. And so we're excited, and we'd love to hear back from people that have read the book.
Thank you so much.